It began with a promise to take back control. To end the chaos of small boats cutting across the cold waters of the Channel. But what Britain got instead was something far stranger and far more controversial. A one-in, one-out migrant deal with France. A deal now branded by its critics as a national humiliation. Because as the government boasts of flights of victory, the truth behind those numbers paints a very different picture. Before we dive deeper into this gripping story, don't forget to hit the like button if you care about Britain's future and its borders. Subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below. Tell us what you think of this so-called historic deal. Your voice matters here. The most thoughtful comments will be featured in our next episode. This week, the Home Office proudly announced that 16 more people who entered the UK illegally had been returned to France. That brings the total number of returns under the one-in, one-out agreement to just 42. 42 deportations against tens of thousands of arrivals. The government calls it a breakthrough. The opposition calls it a failure. But one thing is certain, this is no simple success story. Every day, small boats continue to leave the northern coast of France. Fragile, overcrowded, heading toward the white cliffs of Dover. On Saturday alone, 369 people made the crossing in just 7 boats. That brings the total number of arrivals this year to 36,734. A figure just 82 short of the total for the entire previous year, 2024. So, while ministers talk of progress, the numbers tell a story of continuing failure. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp was quick to lash out. And his words were brutal. For every immigrant we have returned to France, he said, an average of 372 have come to the UK. This is a gimmick, not a deterrent, and quite frankly, it's an embarrassment. This is a national humiliation. His voice cut through the spin like a blade. Rapists, gang members, and foreign offenders, he added, are slipping through while the government sits on its hands. British people didn't vote for an open border experiment. The Conservatives, despite being out of power, insist they already have the answer. A hardline borders plan that would rip Britain out of the European Convention on Human Rights. Remove illegal immigrants within a week of arrival. And end what they call the merry-go-round of endless appeals. Philp declared, only the Conservatives will deliver stronger borders. Starmer doesn't have the backbone to do this, and Reform? They're just a one-man band with no real plan. The words hung in the air, cutting, confident, and designed to wound. But inside the Home Office, a very different story is being told. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood stepped before the cameras, firm and resolute. For many years, she said, illegal migrants entered our country with no consequence. This is the largest return flight under our historic deal with the French. She paused, letting the cameras linger on her conviction. It sends a warning to those considering entering this country illegally. If you come here by small boat, you can be sent back. Her voice hardened. This is just the beginning. I will scale up these removals to France. And I will do whatever it takes to secure our borders. Her words were clear, this government is just getting started. Behind the headlines, the deal itself is as symbolic as it is controversial. It was forged earlier this year between Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron. A one-in, one-out understanding for every migrant Britain sends back to France. France agrees to take in one person who legally arrived under the new migration treaty. It was meant to be a deterrent. A warning to smugglers and would-be crossers. The days of endless arrivals are over. But has it worked? Border Security Chief Martin Hewitt, addressing MPs this week, seemed cautious, almost weary. The number of arrivals by small boat, he admitted, is frustrating. But dismantling a smuggling network of this scale was always going to take time. Time. That's the one thing this government doesn't seem to have much of. In Westminster, patience is wearing thin. Critics are circling. And the public, watching the scenes on the nightly news. Another line of boats, another group of arrivals, another press statement. is beginning to wonder, is this really control? Because the math doesn't lie. For every small group sent back to France, hundreds more arrive. Each day that passes, the Channel becomes both a political and moral battleground. And yet, there's something deeper at play here. Something more than numbers, more than politics. The Channel has become a mirror, reflecting Britain's struggle to define itself after years of division and promises of sovereignty. To some, this one-in, one-out deal is a step toward cooperation. Proof that diplomacy can replace hostility. But to others, it's the final sign of weakness. A government bending under international pressure. Trading principle for paperwork. Flights are scheduled for the coming days. The Home Office insists more removals are imminent. Yet on the French coast, smugglers are already preparing the next wave of crossings. In Calais, tents are going up again. Engines are being tested. And as night falls, the boats are pushed once more into the black water, heading for a nation still searching for an answer. So, what happens next? Will Mahmood's warnings finally echo across the Channel? Or will Philp's prediction of a Britain humiliated and overrun come true? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. The story of Britain's borders is far from over. It's only just begun. If you've watched this far, you're exactly the kind of viewer this channel was made for. Leave your thoughts below. Is the one-in, one-out deal a smart solution or a national embarrassment? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Because Britain's biggest questions deserve to be heard by everyone.